Hi everyone, welcome to the Nicola Valley Talk. Um, I'm your host Tania Stewart, and we are a product of Experience Nicola Valley program, broadcasting from my bedroom in the basement where it's nice and cool on this hot day. We broadcast every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I am your host again, Tania Stewart, and I am very pleased and so excited about our guest. As everyone will know him from Game On, Jim Cooley. Welcome.
Hello,
Hi,
Tanya.
Jim.
Thank you. Hi there.
Well, I am so excited for you to be here and to be my guest.
I'm excited too.
So,
Yeah,
Jim,
my word. Yes.
I'd like to start off with a first question. We usually like to get a great picture about our guests. So, Jim, could you please provide us with a snapshot of yourself, a bio of sort? Who's Jim Cooley?
Okay. Well, I'm Jim Cooley. I was born and raised in Nova Scotia. Um, Left there in my early 30s and ventured out to beautiful British Columbia. Worked out here for a while, then went back to Northern Ontario, worked in the mining industry there, come back out west. I've been also in the pipeline industry for around 20 years, and I've been in the hospitality industry for over 20 years. And I work a lot, and I always seem to have a full time job plus a business on the go. So, yeah, I've had Game On now for 8 years, over 8 years.
Wow. 8 years already.
Yeah. May
I
1st,
just,
2012, I took over.
wow, I can't believe that. It just seems like just the other day
Yeah,
you took over.
I hear you.
Wow, time. Yeah, it is. Eh? And you said you're working. Where are you working right? Besides at Game On.
I worked management for a pipeline company, and unfortunately, I have to go away to work this weekend, and I'll be gone again for a few more months. So I usually
Oh,
work 8 to 10 months a year away, and then when I'm not away working, I'm at my pub working every day. I've worked every day since we reopened on May 19th, so I keep very busy.
you
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah,
Well, what is that saying? Idle hands, idle time.
yeah.
I don't remember exactly the saying, but wow, Jim, you and I do know, and I know I've known you for many, many years, and I do know you're a very hardworking man, and you're going to be gone for a couple more months. You'll be back basically in the fall.
Yeah, I'll hopefully be back. Hopefully be back in October and hopefully home for another month or so before I have to go back to work and only
Yeah.
have to do this for about 2 more years and then it'll just be working at my pub as,
Wow, eh?
as my hobby job.
Your retirement.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that can lead us on to our next question, Jim. Could you provide our listeners the background of why and how you became the owner of Game On?
Okay. Well, what brought me to Merritt in 1999 was the cold Coldwater Hotel. Excuse me. My in-laws at the time had purchased the hotel and we came out to manage it, and then in the end I ended up buying part of the Coldwater Hotel. And so in 2011 I sold my shares in the pub and the Coldwater Hotel, I mean, and then I uh, went away to work for the winter and come back, and on May 1st I bought the Middlesbrough neighborhood pub.
Okay, and which kind of goes into what I would like to know, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our people out there that are quite curious is how has owning Game On, how different has it been owning Game On to how different was it running the Coldwater Hotel?
There was a huge difference. The Coldwater Hotel was 24/7, 365 days a year job. had 40 employees and sometimes over 40 employees. And, it had the liquor store, the restaurant, the banquet room, the pub, the rooms. So I did all the accounting for the business as well, plus worked in pretty well every department. So I wasn't able to have another job at the time, and I was pretty well tied to that business 24/7. So that being said, when I sold my shares in that place and moved on, I purchased the Middlesbrough neighborhood pub, and then I was able to hire a manager and still maintain my employment, and which at the first was a great help because I had to sink a whole bunch of money into it, and at least I had a job and was able to do that. So, but yeah, so huge difference. The game on is much smaller, much easier to manage. Um, Hours are so much shorter. I'm not dealing with the RCMP on a daily basis. I'm actually serving them, when they come up for dinner with their wives and their other members. So it's actually kind of nice to have such a nice, pleasant atmosphere.
Yeah, and I guess you're not dealing like with the cold water being more of a like it was a nightclub, I guess, sort of in a way, right? So
Yeah,
you're dealing with a lot of bad behavior too with people who overdrink and stuff like
yeah.
that. No, not.
There was over service. There was lots of younger kids sneaking in.
Mhm.
Like I dealt with the RCMP a lot, and
Yeah.
fortunately, they assisted me in a lot of ways because there was a lot of trouble there, and I don't think I've ever had to call them once from game on. So
Yeah.
it's really quite a difference, and it's a different clientele because I don't really get a lot of drinkers at game on. I mean, people come in, they'll have a meal, maybe a beer or two, and then the odd night you'll get the hockey team and the ball team.
Mhm.
Everybody's very responsible there. There's no, um, it's an older crowd, and there's no children allowed. So it's really nice atmosphere at game on.
And then also don't have to deal with the extended people staying like the
That's
cold water.
right.
You had the upstairs, right? The I
That's right.
guess the
Counting rooms and
apartments and having to deal with that. Like it's such a bigger scale.
it was a big undertaking for sure. And
Yeah.
another nice thing about Game On is our kitchen closes at 10, and we might have a table or two of guys that stay next door at the hotel that'll stay and have a few
Mhm.
drinks, and then they're usually gone by 11 or 12 at the latest. Like the pub closes pretty early every night, so that's another benefit as well.
And you know what I really like about the game on, besides the food and the service, like the service there is par none. You have a great manager, and and every time you go there, it's like you're it's home country. It's like you're going to your grandma's for dinner. You're welcomed. You're treated like family and served big portions. In fact, I'm always having to bring home leftovers, which is great because then I can feed my kids at the same
Yeah.
time. but and the service is just amazing, and also with the hotels in walking distance.
Yes,
I
that's
mean,
been a
what a
great help.
benefit!
That's been a great help. I mean, my pub is super busy, and I have the local townspeople to thank for that because Merritt really supports my pub very, very well, and you can go up there on any given night, and a lot of nights I know 80 or 90% of the people because they're repeat customers. Most of them live right here in town, which is so nice to see. And I have so many people tell me that they love coming there. So
and,
it's a great pub.
and you do have a lot of because I'm a frequent person who goes there, and you do have a lot of clientele from out of town
Yeah.
who stop.
Yes. Well, actually, last week I waited on this one couple, and they hadn't known that we were there. and so they stopped in, and now it's a regular stop for them every time they pass through. And I would say every single day in the summertime we get at least 2 to 3 couples that stop in on their way to Vancouver from, the interior, or
Mhm.
vice versa, coming from the interior to Vancouver, and uh, they make it a regular stop. They make it their lunch stop, or their supper stop. And now actually, I know a lot of them because they stop in, 3 or 4 times a year, and they always make Game On a destination. So being so close to the highway really helped get that first initial visit. And then with the great food and the great service and good portions, everything being homemade from scratch, and consistency, um, it brings people back, repeat customers. So it's really nice business to have, where the complaints at my place are very, very minimal, which is so nice to have. In this industry, you can go to places and they'll get 7 or 8 complaints a night, and I get way, way more compliments.
Okay, and that will kind of go lead into my next question about you.
Okay.
And I do know that I've always kind of been curious about this myself, but I every time I see, I just never think of it. So now I'm going to ask you, Jim. So the Game On used to be called Middlesbrough Neighborhood Pub, right, for many
Yeah.
years. And can you tell our listeners why the change of its name?
Um, so I bought the Middlesbrough Neighborhood Pub. I still own that name, but when I bought the place, I wanted to come in and totally change everything. I wanted a new menu, new staff, new look in there, and then I thought at the same time, let's go with a new name. And I wanted it to be more sports orientated. They had mining pictures up, which was great. The pub was really super nice pub, and that was the reason I bought it. It was location and cleanliness and nice building, but it was due for a facelift, and I thought I wanted to go more of a sports a sports bar, sports pub, I guess, type of an atmosphere. And that's why I put all the new TVs and all the sports memorabilia. And so it's funny how I come up with the name, because I actually did a name the pub contest, and that went on for a couple months. And my father was out from Nova Scotia, and we went through the bucket the night before I had to make the announcement, and we still never had a name for it. And so the next morning, I was talking to my girlfriend, who lived in Kamloops at the time and who is now my wife. Um, she had said something to me, and then I said, "Oh, bring it on." And then I said, "Oh, wow, I just thought of the new name for my pub." And she goes, "What's that?" I said, "Game On." So, seeing as I picked the name myself, then that weekend we had the big grand opening, and we had Robert Rowan and Savage West play. He drew a name from the bucket of all the entries, and that person won the prize for naming the pub, because in the end I was the one who named it. So I just wanted to do a total change of everything up there, and so the name change came along with all the changes I made.
I know we kind of touched base on this, Jim, but please kind of like just remind our listeners and provide our listeners with exactly what they will experience when they go to Game On.
Um, well, when you walk into Game On, you're met with friendly staff, um, and I pride my business with good service. So it's nice to have nice, friendly staff. We provide great service, great food. All our food is prepared in the kitchen, homemade. All of our beef is supplied by the local butcher and out in lower Nicola Valley Meats, which is Kuiper's Ranch. They supply all of our ground beef, all of our steaks. They hand cut our steaks, every one of them. All of our barons for the roast beef is all local. Um, and then everything else there is homemade. The hand cut fries. There's a lot of prep work that goes on. So I think the biggest thing is, you know, I've always said if you have good food and good service, you will succeed. And I think I have both of that. And then plus just the atmosphere there. My cleaner, who my hack goes off to, spends 4 hours a day in that little tiny space. But I mean, the place is spotless. You can check the windowsills, and I get compliments every day from customers on how clean the place is. So, my cleaner just totally devotes herself to that place as if it's her own house, and it just looks so good, and it comes back to us, so many ways because people love it, and we get so many compliments. Then the other thing is we also have lots of sports on, and I have a satellite at every TV, so uh, I always have the hockey package, so I get every single hockey game that's being shown through the winter. If there's 7 or 8 hockey games on, we can have every TV on a different hockey game, so we're able to please every customer. We have a nice, great big screen outside on our patio as well, which is nice and sheltered, and people can watch TV out there and just enjoy the great views of the Nicola Valley. And no, the location of the pub is great too. So.
And it is, and it's got a great view of the valley. I mean, even in the wintertime,
Yeah,
I find it's still beautiful because you get those winter blues, like the color
right.
blue and the grays, and and yes, Jim, and I can verify to our listeners that your place is very, very clean, like the windowsills and everything. And like I get picky that way when I go into certain establishments because I mean I worked in this industry forever,
Yes, you
and
did. Yeah.
yeah, and something little like that can turn a person off,
Oh,
right?
for sure. If you go into a washroom and it's a dirty washroom, people go, "Wow, what's the kitchen look like?" So,
Ex-
I mean,
ex-
you really have to have a clean place if you want repeat business.
and then also what I really like about Game On, and this is going to lead into our next question, is how it pops out in a way is that you can see into the kitchen.
That's right. Yeah.
And so leading into that, what other things make it pop out other than what you have already explained? Is there anything else that you can think of?
Well, the other thing too is everything is new there. Like you look at the landscaping, it's you drive in and it just looks neat and tidy and clean. The lawn is immaculate. Thompson's Lawn Care, they do a great job on keeping that place so neat and tidy, and I get people asking me all the time who actually does the work, and so that's kind of nice. And then just walking into a nice, clean, bright place, and I take a lot of pride in it. And if anything at all breaks down, it's replaced that day. Um, so it's all nice new furniture and carpets, and um, yeah, it's and the sports. And I think another good feature too. And I kind of did a survey of all my regular customers when the BC government allowed um, pubs to allow children in. You had to apply for the license. But before I even applied for it, I did a survey of all my customers, and I would say about 90% of the people said, we love our kids, we love our grandkids, but it's nice to go to a place where there's no children. So I think that's another good selling feature. In the summertime, we have to turn away a few families that actually want to come in, but I think we gain more in the long run by not allowing the children in. So that's another good feature, I think, which really helps the pub.
I agree with you on that because I mean I love my children too. Oh, and speaking of being a grandparent, I'm going to be a grandparent.
Oh,
I just found
congratulations.
out. So
Nice.
in that aspect, yeah, I I like to go to a place without children because it's
Yeah,
nice.
it is nice. I mean, if there's a hockey team or a baseball team in there and somebody slips up and says a swear word, and turn around and there's a lady glaring at them because she's got her kids with them. Well, you don't have to worry about that at my place. I mean,
Exactly.
you might still get the glare, but then you can apologize to the lady, but you're not offending children at least, right? So
Yeah, totally true.
yeah.
So, Jim, leading into our next question is due to COVID-19, many businesses had to close their doors. And how did I know you had to close your doors? And I'd like you to share with our listeners a special thing that you did when you closed your doors for people in the community. And how did this impact your business?
Well, it really hurt for 2 months. I was, like I said, I'm very fortunate that I have another job, so I'm not 100% dependent on paying myself a salary through there, or everything I make after expenses just goes back into the place to improve it. So when we closed for COVID, I think it affected my employees more than myself, and the thing I did as far as the community went was we had just got 2 full orders in the day that we had to close. And so we had, probably a few $1,000s worth of perishable groceries that we definitely couldn't freeze and couldn't use. And I definitely couldn't eat it all at home. And so I just reached out to the community and some of the seniors that I knew, and less fortunate people, and some staff, of course, as well. And I just posted it on Facebook and gave all the food away so that we weren't throwing it out. So it was costly, but it was a nice feeling to actually give back as well. And but COVID really did hurt all the small business, and it still is. I mean, right now, this week was the first week I had to close on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Oh,
Yeah, I was closed yesterday and Monday, and
mhm.
next week I'll have to do the same. But then I'm thinking after that, the new people that I've just hired might be trained up. I have a good, solid staff. I don't have hardly any turnover at all at my pub unless somebody's going to school, or like Brianna just had a baby. Last year we lost Sonia because she had a baby.
Oh, yes.
But other than that, we really keep the same staff there, and I have great kitchen staff. So the reason I had to close Mondays and Tuesdays was my staff was getting burnt out in the kitchen, and I didn't want to lose them. So until we find more staff, I have to bite the bullet and close for these 2 days, which is tough because I've been getting lots of Facebook messages and phone calls, and oh, are you closing? Are you hurting? It's not a financial thing. It's more to try and look after my employees and hopefully find some new ones. And we had a new girl start today, and we're interviewing another one tomorrow.
Oh,
So I'm thinking that this closure on Mondays and Tuesdays is only for a couple of weeks. But the sad part about COVID is um, it's hard to find workers right now because with this third, people are getting $500 a week to sit at home and not have to go to work. So it makes it really tough, especially in our industry where, the wages, well, they're still almost $15 an
mhm.
hour, which is nothing to kick at. That's minimum wage. But a person, if they're only working 30 hours a week, they get more money by sitting at home. So
And it's summertime.
and it's summertime, so 30 degrees, 35 degrees outside, and you're getting $500 a week to not have to go to work. I mean, who wouldn't want to sit at home and drink beer for that, I guess. So it's really, really tough right now.
Yeah.
But we think we have the issue solved. So, but COVID was really tough. Like I said, I was very fortunate that I had another job. So, I can afford to close for a few months and the place will stay running. But I really feel for some of the other small businesses because, that's their bread and butter. That's how they get paid themselves. Fortunately, like I've been saying all along, I have another job, so I don't have to take a salary from my pub. I'm free labor when I'm home. I'm there day and night. I've worked every day since May 19th when we opened. I've served, I've done dishes, whatever it takes to keep the doors open, I'm there. So, and to help my staff.
Yeah, and that's great. And I do know that your staff do. I had a friend who worked there, and she had to leave due to health reasons. Well, actually, one of my son's friends, and she said that you had to have been one of her best bosses ever. Like
Oh,
like you were. It was like you weren't the owner, but you were the owner. You treated
well,
them like
yeah.
they were partners.
I
In a way.
consider myself a fellow employee when I'm up there. I go up and I ask them what I need to do. I don't go up and, boss people around. I ask what they need help with, and hopefully I can do it. I can do everything but cook. I'm a great cook. I'm a great cook, but if you come up and I had to cook for you, you'd have to have a couple hours because I'm pretty slow. I'm good, but I'm a better barbecuer at home than I am trying to push out the food like they do at the pub. So
Yeah, well, you got great cooks, that's for sure, and
yeah,
thank goodness you appreciate them because they are great cooks. They
they
are,
are. I mean, I
and they
have
go out of their way if they
no.
to do those little extras
Yeah.
all the time
No,
for you.
I have great staff, and once I get just a couple more, we'll have a full team again, and we'll be able to stay open and just keep on serving the great people of Merritt and good food and good
Yeah.
service. And yeah, I appreciate the time that you've given me. So
Yeah. Well, and so now that you have reopened and now you're finding more staff and everything, and what safety protocols have you put in place? Have you and your staff put in place for this COVID-19?
well, we when you walk in the door, you have to one person from your group has to sign themselves in, and then sanitize. And we've distanced. There's probably around 12 tables that we can't use because you have to be 2 meters away from each person. So we've lost a few tables in there, and we have hand sanitizer up everywhere, all over the bar, in the washrooms. And then the girls on a regular basis will go in and clean the washrooms, clean the doors, anything that's been touched. Um, anything that's brought to the table, napkins, coasters, if people request coasters, we have to throw those in the garbage. So we only bring coasters if people ask. And we try to not bring like a dozen napkins for two people because then we're throwing those in the garbage. And then the salt and pepper and ketchup and vinegar, HP sauce, any of that stuff has to be wiped down, taken off the table, wiped down, and then when a new customer comes in, we put it back on the table. Every table and chair has to be wiped down as soon as a customer leaves before anybody else can use that table. We have to ensure that it's clean and sanitized. Same with the menus. As soon as customers are finished with the menu, before the next customer gets the menus, they're wiped down. So we have a lot of practices in place just to try and keep everybody safe.
That yes, well, that's very good, and you don't think about those kind of things like napkins and stuff like that. Like, I mean, the money that can go out, can go out because if you do
Yeah,
have anything on
yeah,
the table, because you have to get rid of it because of
It's,
the dangers.
even if nobody touched it, we can't take that chance. And we've probably gone through twice as many napkins than
Mhm.
we normally do, because when you're bringing extra napkins to the table, if they weren't touched before, you could at least reuse them. But now, just because they were brought to the table, they have to be thrown in the garbage. And,
Mhm.
it hurts to see a nice clean napkin get thrown in the garbage. At the same time, it's, we have to be safe, and sorry. So,
And that's for sure. Jim, bravo to you guys, to you
thank you.
and all your workers. And you did say you were married, right?
Yes. Yes,
And
I'm
you're
married. Yes.
yeah, so you're not a bachelor anymore and haven't been
No,
probably for years. Because I know
no,
at one point you were,
I
and
know.
you had
Yeah.
women after you like a hot tomato. Eh?
Well,
Um, so
it's
is
nice.
your wife partake in working?
Not really, because she works out of town with me.
Okay.
So we used to have a place in Langley until we bought this big blue house in Collettville, and so now she spends a lot of time here, um, and she does come up. She did come up and help a few times
Hmm.
when we first opened, because of the safety precautions that we had to take. So she would just come up and clean tables and seat people and do all the
Hmm.
cleaning and whatnot for us. And she used to work there before she came to work with me, because she works in the accounting industry as
Okay.
well. So she's done some books, and if we need her, she'll help. But she likes to stay away. It's kind of my baby, and because when we're away working, everybody, when I'm gone for 3 or 4 months, when I come home, they think I've been on a holiday. Where in actual fact, I work Monday to Saturday, 12 hours a day. I'm in my office at 5:30 every morning, and I work till 6 o'clock at night. So it's not really a holiday when I'm away. I'm actually
No.
working lots of long hours, and my wife does the same. So when we get home, she likes to enjoy her time, and then me, I'm up at the pub.
Yeah. Well, did she go skydiving with you the other day?
She came, but she did not go. About 2 years ago, when we were in Disney World, she started getting motion sickness. So
Oh.
a couple of the roller coasters bothered her, where they never have her entire life. So, and it's something she's always wanted to do. And we just about had her talked into it yesterday. So I think now I have to go again, because
Yeah.
the ride home, she talked about how much she regretted it. So I think
Aw.
I
Yeah,
think
well,
that
there
would
you
be
go.
another trip for us in the fall. So I
A
guess I'll
little
have to
vacay.
jump out of a plane again one more.
um, so going on to you moved here many years ago, and so what? Tell us, Jim, and everyone else, and share with people who may not have come to the Nicola Valley or experienced the Nicola Valley. Share with us what is so special about the Nicola Valley and Merritt.
Um, Merritt reminds me a lot of where I grew up in Nova Scotia. Um, a lot of the people never leave, and I find that with Merritt. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's related to everybody, and it seems like people were born here, and a lot of people never leave. They just, so that to me says something strong about the community. If people are born here and then they never seem to leave, they raise their families here, and then they raise their families. It's just a beautiful place. And when I first got here, I got to play hockey on a team which I still play for, and the guys have played. They grew up playing hockey together, and they played hockey together for 50 years, and they're still playing. And I got to join that team, and then got to play darts here, and baseball and tennis and golf. The sports are really good. The weather in Merritt is just absolutely fabulous. You know, 37 degrees yesterday, and in the winter time, very little snow, and it gets cold maybe for a week or two. Other than that, it's pretty mild winters, great summers. It never hardly rains, but it's nice. We can still use our hot tub at night because it seems to cool down at night a bit here. And no, it's just the scenery, and you can fish a lake a day as long as you stay. I wish more people would actually um, take advantage of this beautiful place we live in, and people that actually do stop and spend a couple days, they can't believe the scenery and how nice it is, and horseback riding trails and snowmobile trails and hiking. I mean, it's endless. I mean, there's a lot to do here in Merritt, and people just have to stop and experience it, because I've loved it ever since I lived here. We're 2 hours to Vancouver, an hour to Kelowna, 45 minutes to Kamloops. So if you need the urge to get to a big center, they're very close. So yeah, and the people here are great. I mean, that's probably what sold me the most, right? I mean, I was welcomed with open arms, and it feels like I grew up here. Even though I was in my late 30s when I moved here. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm in
Wow.
my 50s.
Well, it is. I mean, I lived away for quite a while, number of years, but I came back, and it's par none by with beauty, I have to say. And if you get bored in this here, then you're crazy, because I
Yeah,
mean, nature, and there's so much to do.
I agree. Yeah, just go
Yeah.
for a walk along the trails, along the rivers. I mean, there's just so much to do here, and
Yeah.
yeah, biking trails and hiking trails, and
Yeah. It's
snow,
gorgeous.
cross country ski in the winter. I mean, it's another nice thing I really like about it. There's hardly ever any snow in Merritt, but you can drive for 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you can be in 10 feet of
Oh,
snow.
I
You know,
know. Isn't that crazy?
never,
Oh, I mean, it's
never,
nice.
never experienced that back east. That's for
No,
sure. So,
me neither. I lived in Ontario, and it was like just snow everywhere, so it didn't matter. And it was either hot or cold. But
yeah.
well, Jim, is there anything else I may have not touched on that you would like to touch on before I let you go?
No, I'd just like to thank yourself and Greg and everybody else on your team. You guys are doing a great job, and also like to thank everybody in Merritt for all the awesome support, and look forward to many years of serving you and everybody else in Merritt. Yeah,
And we definitely look forward to continuously going there, because it is such a great place. Jim Cooley, oh, thank you for being my guest and for coming on here and providing all this information about your business and about yourself, and pumping our Nicola Valley, because truly what we're trying to do is to open that up so our businesses, due to COVID, will not, and just for everything, for people to come and enjoy what we can enjoy every day and take pleasure in it.
I agree 100% and appreciate the time, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Jim. So I'm going to let you go, and
Yeah. All right.
I guess if I don't see you before you leave.
All right. We'll see you later.
Okay,
Say
Jim.
say hi to Greg.
I will
Okay.
do that. Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it, everyone. What a great interview that was with Jim Cooley from Game On Pub here in the Nicola Valley. Thank you for joining in to Nicola Valley Talk. We are a product of Experience Nicola Valley program, broadcasting from my basement where it's nice and cool. And every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we come, and let me tell you something about next week's talk is going to be, I'm going to say his name, Sheldon. I can't pronounce his last name, but we are going to be doing and talking about Bigfoot and trying to find Bigfoot here around the Nicola Valley. So again, tune in next week at 7 p.m. Thursday night Pacific time with Nicola Valley Talk, a product of Experience Nicola Valley. Okay. Goodbye and see you next week.